Hi guys, happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Soulful Living with Megs. As always, it is so great to have you here back for a moment of connection with me. Hi my beautiful friends, how are you doing today? I hope that you are feeling so good, so fulfilled in all the areas. I hope that you had a fantastic weekend, a fantastic past week. I'm hoping that your week coming up is filled with all the good things. I hope that I'm getting this episode out on Monday morning as per usual, schedule timing for the pod. I'm spending the weekend with my family in North Van. Not my family that actually lives in the house in North Van. They are on a Disney cruise right now with the kiddos. So fun. So some of my cousins from Victoria, they are here house sitting. So I'm going to go spend the weekend with them. It's Saturday morning right now as you're listening to this, and I just finished all of my meal prep for the week aside from dinners, and I just wanted to get everything done because I'm not quite sure what time I'll be home on Sunday, and I didn't really want to stress about it. So I'm feeling accomplished and good. I did all the chores and I'm recording an episode. I just don't know when I will have time to sit down and edit it and then upload it for you guys, but I'm hoping it will be Monday morning, if not Monday evening at the latest. Hopefully not Tuesday morning, but I'll keep you guys updated on Instagram, of course. But I hope that you're doing so well, and I'm excited to sit down for the next few minutes with you and have some chit chat. I was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about today, and I guess this is a more of a chit chat episode of a few different topics that have been on my mind, and I know I've done a handful of these, but it's nice to just get my opinion out and talk through my thought process with you guys of some things that have happened throughout the week, some things I've read online, things that I'm currently doing in my everyday routine, all of those things. The first thing I wanted to say was I read an article this morning. Actually, I was drinking my iced coffee. I already had a matcha, which is probably why I'm feeling I guess I'm feeling a bit hyper. I feel like in last week's episode, even though it's still morning, when I sit down in the morning with you guys, it's my most creative time. And usually when I'm ready to record, I haven't actually had a conversation with anybody yet. I haven't actually got into any routine, so my body is still kind of waking up, and I'm definitely in a calmer state. At least that has been the past few weeks of episodes. And while I am a little tired, I woke up early hours ago, so long ago, and the fact that I've been moving and grooving and just finished my breakfast, all of the things, I'm feeling chatty and talkative, and I feel like I'm talking fast today, so bear with me. Anyway, so I was reading an article this morning, literally just before I was sitting down. I was drinking my iced coffee, like I said. So good, by the way. I put honey in it, and then I frothed the honey with the espresso, did some oat milk, did some ice. Oh my gosh, it's so sweet and so good, and I feel less bad for the sweetener because it's natural and it's honey. But I came across this article that I don't know how I feel about because I am a cat lover myself. I had cats growing up since I was probably 8 or so, maybe 7. No, I think 6 or 7. I got my first cat, Misty, and I've just had cats my entire life, even while being allergic to them. And I've just had a great experience with them, and I'm absolutely obsessed with my cats, and I have 2 at my mom's, and Misty has passed away. I can't remember I don't know if I mentioned that ever in the pod because it was before I started the podcast, but anyway, I had her for 19 years, and yeah, she sadly passed away December of 2024, and yeah, she was my cat growing up, the most loving, cutest little kitty ever. And then we got a second cat when I was quite older, when I was 18, and her name is Nala, and she's a crazy girl. She's an orange cat. Absolutely obsessed with her. And because Nala was super depressed about losing Misty, My mom got another cat, and his name is Chatty. He is a beautiful, like, Bengal cat. A little bit crazy too sometimes, and he's huge, but stunning, stunning boy. Anyway, so I'm just biased about cats. And I read this article. This is the title. It says, Cats are the only common pet linked to more mental health problems in children, study finds. Now, I don't really know what this news article site is. It's called The Independent. I don't know how reputable it is. I was doing a quick read because I was like, wait a minute. Tell me how cats are linked to more mental health problems. And, you know, one of the biggest things it said was that in the early years of life, emotional bonds may not be fully formed. Therefore, the presence of dogs or birds may not have a major effect on mental health. It is also possible that variables not included in our study may have influenced the results. Well, yeah, what kind of study were you guys doing? But apparently it said the most interesting finding was that having a cat at age 4 or 5 was associated with more mental health problems. Having other animals such as hamsters, rabbits, turtles, or fish consistently throughout early childhood seemed to have a protective effect on boys and girls alike, which is interesting. And I'm going to continue reading more about why it says cats are linked to this mental health problem in children. But me personally, like, animals such as hamsters, rabbits, turtles, fish, they're in a cage, they're in a fish tank, you know what I mean? And they're in this like enclosure thing. Hamsters don't, I think, last as long as cats do, at least from experience that I've heard about other friends having hamsters. And it is like, I understand the concept of like having the responsibility of maintaining their cage. You can go see them all the time. They're in one spot. You can hang out with them, if they're in their cage and whatever it is, but I don't know that I totally agree with it. Although I, of course, didn't read a ton of the stats, and there could be, a lot of studies that conclude this, but I'm curious how many studies there were done, or what was the control group, or whatever that is when you do studies. Like, how many children are you observing over how long of a time, things like that. And it also says in this article, in the case of cats, their way of interacting with people could explain the effects observed. They are more independent, which limits emotional bonding, and some families may choose this animal as a pet because their children have emotional needs of their own. Interesting. And then it says having fish, turtles, and hamsters on a constant basis does seem to protect children from mental health problems. These pets demand stable and easy contact and help kids to learn responsibility, empathy, and self-control, which in a way I agree with because, like I said, they're in this controlled environment in a cage. They do need to step up the responsibility of keeping it clean, especially if they wanted this animal. And they are quite stable because they're constantly there, whereas a cat is known to be more independent. And I do know of some cats that are more standoffish to humans, that don't really like affection, that don't love to cuddle or sit with you for long. And sometimes my cat Misty didn't love to be held for too long, or if I wanted to cuddle with her, she would just like jump off the couch or the bed and not want to be with me in that moment. It was more so of like when she wanted time with me to cuddle, she would come to me. And Nala doesn't really like to be held, and she's frankly quite too heavy to be held for too long. But regardless, like, they, to me, were always so loving. Like, they would always want pets. They always wanted to be like around you when they weren't sleeping, in the sense of like getting love. But so I can kind of see the point of like, if a cat is not constantly there, like a dog, like I feel like a dog will just come to you all the time, will be by your side. I see dogs all the time on walks with their owners. Well, like, they're not even looking ahead, they're staring at their owner. That's how much love they have. And I think cats have the same amount of love toward their owner too. They just display it in a different way. And So while I can understand that at a young age, maybe a child does want to bond with their animal and can't necessarily get that from a cat if the cat doesn't want to be, cuddly at that time. There's so many types of cats that are absolutely obsessed with you and will be by your side, will be cuddling, will be wanting to be on you all the time. I think it just depends on the cat. I think it depends on the environment. I think it depends on the child and the people that, their home is with. There's so many factors that contribute to it. And for me, I mean, well, I have anxiety. I definitely have some mental health areas in which I'd love to work on. I feel like everybody does. There's always something, and there's so many other factors that play a role into it, but I loved growing up with my cats. I felt a very, very close bond with them. I still feel such a close bond with Nala. Chatty is, of course, a cat that my mom got when I moved out of the house, so I'm not as connected with him, but he's still such a cutie pie. But like Nala, every time I'm on the phone with my mom and she puts the phone on speaker, actually, she doesn't even need to put the phone on speaker. Nala will be meowing. She'll come from whatever room she's in and she'll start meowing and like rubbing up against my mom because she hears me. She knows that, my mom's talking to me. And I literally she'll put the phone to Nala and I'll just talk to her and she'll meow. And then when I go visit my mom and visit the cats, like Nala and I used to have this routine every single day where I'd go into my mom's room because her bed was allowed to have the cats. The cats weren't allowed in my room unless I specifically wanted them in there, and which is why they loved going in the room every chance they could get. But she would jump up on the bed. I would simply walk to the end of my mom's bed. Nala would jump up and I would pet her because it's the perfect height to pet a cat without, kneeling down and whatnot. And it was still to this day, years and years later, I've been out of the house for how long? Her and I still do it. And it's just our thing. And I'm absolutely obsessed with her. And so I thought it was an interesting read. And of course, I skimmed through it to really look at like why they're saying this or what their findings were. I don't know that I totally agree because I don't know if I bonded. Like, I had fish growing up. I don't think I bonded as much with my fish as I did with my cats. And if I had a turtle or a hamster or whatever, I just feel, me personally, I wouldn't have bonded as much because you can't cuddle with them. You can't, they can't independently roam necessarily. So I don't know. I don't know if I totally agree, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. Of course, I didn't look at any other article, but I was like, what the heck is this? The Google alert gave me this article, and I don't think my mental health is associated with my cats or growing up with them. I also had a dog growing up, and of course, I loved my dog. Wasn't as connected with him as I was with my cats because my dog was at my dad's, and so I didn't spend as much time with him. And so I don't know. I think, like I said earlier, it really depends on the environment the cat is in, the type of cat, and whether or not they are more cuddly or not. But at the same time, sometimes I don't want my cat like being near me 24/7. Sometimes I want some alone time. And so if you're the same way, like it's beneficial, not to have an animal like be right at your side every second of every day. But of course, love the attention. I love that they love us. But you know what I mean? I don't know if I agree with it, but I was curious your thoughts. And of course, I wanted to share mine and that I came across this. And yeah, I personally have not had any issues with my cats or their independence because it is quite nice that they're like self-sufficient in that way, I guess, and they're pretty easy to manage and take care of. What else can I recap before we get into kind of the bulk of what I wanted to talk about? I wanted to update you guys on my acne journey, continuing on from the previous episode that I did. I definitely want to do a more lengthy, like part 2 of my acne journey, but I don't want to right now just because I want to fully finish the process of what I'm currently doing. And slowly but surely we're getting there, but I definitely want to get to a point, maybe even do some microneedling. So when that's all done, like I want to talk to you guys about it. But I will say, since the last episode, my naturopath and I discussed and we agreed back in maybe May, I think it was, to go on a medication called spironolactone. And only women can take this medication for acne purposes because it really suppresses the androgens in our bodies. So the male hormone is less present, as it would be naturally. And I do have a naturally higher testosterone level, so we've been working on balancing that out. But having the androgens smaller definitely allows for clearer skin to occur. And so I've been taking this medication since about May, and I will say now I am starting to see results. Whereas, 2 months in, I was like, I'm still getting the acne, which I still have acne. It's definitely more prevalent just before my period, which has been a constant for the past year, I want to say. So it's not abnormal. But my skin has cleared significantly. I have noticed an improvement on my blackheads. I've noticed just that my skin does look brighter and more vibrant, and I'm happy with the results so far, and I'm excited to keep being on it. The only downside to the medication, there are a few side effects, of course. Taking, anything has its side effects, but it is a diuretic, so I already have a small bladder, and so I'm just peeing literally all the time. Like every half an hour at work. It's insane. People probably think I'm crazy for getting up that many times, but I drink a lot of liquids in the morning. I have my tea, I have my water, and so I'm just going. But it's been going well. I'm still doing my supplements for my hormonal balance. I'm still doing all of the other things that we have in place. It's just this is really aiding in my progression of having skin moving forward. Of having clear skin moving forward is what I should say. Thank God I have skin. My goodness. So that's that on that. And I also wanted to tell you guys, speaking of a more naturopathic route, I bought a Nixit disc, which is like a Diva cup. It's just different shape than a Diva cup. It's more of a round half circle, if you will. Whereas the Diva cup is more of like a cup shape. And if any of you guys listening, women, of course, have tried it, let me know what you think about it. I have yet to take it out of the box and, do the whole cleaning process of it and try it, but I need to do that soon because my period is coming up and I want to be able to, have it down packed as to putting it in. And I'm a little nervous to use it, I won't lie. But I do think, one, it's beneficial for the environment because I'm not producing so much waste with tampons. And they are supposedly, this is supposed to last, like 4 super plus tampons worth. Like it's supposed to hold that much. And apparently it's self-draining, but you have to train yourself to do that. So I probably won't do that right away. I'll just take it out. But it's supposed to save, the environment in a way. It also helps me save money because I'm not spending money on tampon products, as this will last many years. And I also think it's a bit healthier for women because, there's all those articles online that I'm seeing, or like posts online about how there's toxic products in tampons, like linking to arsenic and all of these crazy things, which like so many items of food or like other things have these materials, and I'm like, what are we doing, guys? Why is the world trying to poison us? I'm so confused. Like, let's just stick to our whole food diet and growing things from the land and like living off that instead of these chemically produced products. Anyway, I hope that this works. I hope that I know how to use it and that it's not that hard, but like I said, let me know if one of you has used it, if you like it, what are your tips and tricks. I know I'll get the hang of it and I like have to use it because I spent money on it. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you updated, in a in an appropriate way, of course. One more thing that I kind of wanted to bring up before talking about, like I said, the main topic, even though this is a chit chat, just kind of talking through what's in my head right now. The other day I was walking home from work and I saw a man walking with his dog, and then I had realized that it was a seeing eye dog, and so this man is either partially or fully blind. I'm not really sure his situation, of course, because I don't know him, but there was something about what I was seeing, and I was amazed at this dog because we were walking across the street. I had seen him on the corner of a crosswalk. And then as we were approaching the end, this particular sidewalk is closed off at the moment because they're doing construction. When are they not doing construction? Anyway, so you have to kind of like turn to your left and then walk on on the road, but like there's a bit of a pathway. Obviously, there's I was going to say pine cones. What the hell are they called? Why am I blanking on what this is called? Oh my gosh. A traffic cone. Holy Toledo. Anyway, so there were traffic cones blocking off the section that, pedestrians could walk on. And I was watching as he was in front of me with his dog, him go. And this dog is so incredibly smart. The dog knew exactly where to turn, where to go to guide him to not walk into the fence, essentially. And that sounds like I'm, unaware of what seeing eye dogs do. I obviously know that they're trained for this and that they're so intelligent. And, if he lives in the area, he is probably familiar with this route. But I was still so amazed that this relationship with this owner and this dog it was just so cohesive, and I don't know, it really touched my heart. I got super emotional about it because it was so cute. And then I'm like, oh my God, like this man can't see the way I can see. And so it got me emotional even thinking about that, because I was then so grateful for my eyesight. I'm so grateful for the ability to move my body, to have all of my senses, because I know there are people out there that don't have all of their senses, and it is truly an incredible thing that we can smell, we can taste, we can hear, we can see, we can touch, and not everybody gets the blessing to have all five. And so I just wanted to remind you to be grateful. Have the gratitude for your health, for your well-being, and being kind to others is one of the most important things we can do, because you don't know what somebody's going through, what the challenges they have to face every day. And while from the outside point of view, this man looked like he was handling, this was his life. I don't know how long he's been blind for, if it's been forever, if it's been whatever. I don't know him. But the point is that you don't know what somebody faces on a daily basis. You're not them. And so leading with kindness, even having patience, like if you're in a line and it's quite narrow and there's somebody in front of you that is impaired visually or is slower because they don't have the mobility to walk as fast as you, taking a moment to pause, be grateful for what you have, and be patient. And just know that not everything needs to be rushed, and to have that gratitude for what you have in your life. Anyway, that was my preachy speech. I just wanted to share that with you because it actually made me cry on my way home. And I realize I'm in my luteal, so of course that's why I was more emotional this past week. But it was quite a special thing to see. The last thing that I want to talk to you about as my chit chat rant of the day is quite long, so thank you for bearing with me. I wanted to talk about the book that I'm reading right now, and it's called, I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys, but it's called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I feel like it's a very well-known book. I've definitely heard about it before I finally decided to pick it up and read it. And it's on my Kindle, so whatever. And basically, it talks about the differences between men and women and how opposite we actually are, and how we may be approaching situations, especially in a partnership, that are maybe not the most beneficial or conducive to your partner. Because I feel oftentimes, at least from reading this book, women, the Venetians, they call them, approach communication, approach friendship, relationships in a very, very different way than men do, because women, the idea is that, men are from Mars, women are on planet Venus. And so they're separate. And until they found each other, they only had the same sex to communicate with. And women naturally are more nurturing in the sense of, we want to talk, we want to care, we want to do, we want to act for you. And women like to yap. As I'm sitting here yapping with you, we like to talk, 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 talk. We talk out our problems. The amount of conversations I've had with my friends where we have discussed the same topic over and over and over again, it's just almost like a brain dump. We just got to get it out of us. And we're not tired of talking, talking, talking. Whereas men, they didn't spend a lot of time talking to each other. They didn't spend a lot of time sitting in their emotions or problem solve in the same way that we do. Men like to be tactile and do things. And one of the other biggest things that I have been trying to apply to my life from what I've been reading about this book is that, if I am with my male counterparts, if I'm with my guy friends, partnership, whatever it is, the men in my life, I'm doing my best to be aware that they may not want, let's say, my opinion on a situation or maybe a solution to something going on in their life unless being asked. So I'm doing my best not to propose my opinions or my thoughts without being asked first. And this is very different from sharing your thoughts, because I do think, I should always share what's on my mind. I advocate for you guys feeling the way that you do and expressing it. But I think that there's definitely a way in which men and women receive it differently. So I can be mindful when I'm with the men in my life that I need to approach this a bit differently than how I would approach a woman. And that may mean, if they are expressing something, I don't necessarily jump into, oh, you should do this, or why didn't you do it this way? Or, can XYZ, like you're giving them a list of things to do and almost critiquing them. And I'm guilty of this. I have a lot of opinions and I like to do things a very specific way. So if it's not done that way, I usually say out loud, oh, why didn't you do this? Or why don't you try it this way? Where that may not be super beneficial for a man to hear, just because at the end of the day, they want the confirmation and the encouragement that they are doing a good job in a sense. So I'm applying that idea where I can then trust their judgment in terms of how they conduct themselves as individuals and how they make decisions, in their own life and then in a life where we're all together, if that makes sense. So encouraging them while letting them, do their thing, I think has been really beneficial. And I'm noticing, some positive changes too. And I've implemented that with the men in my life in particular. And then when they specifically ask for guidance or an opinion is kind of when I present it. And if they don't ask, then, I've been sitting back to say, hey, this is your life and I trust that you're going to make the right decision for you. And while I would maybe do it a different way, that doesn't mean that their way is incorrect. You know what I mean? So that's been pretty cool. And then on the flip side with women, I've been actively trying with the men in my life to mention, when I come home and I want to talk about things, or when I hang out with my male friends, I want to talk and get it out. Most of the time, women just want to be heard and validated in what they're saying. most of the time I don't actually need a solution to anything that I'm bringing forward unless I'm specifically reaching out for one and asking for the help and support. The support that I feel like I receive in the best way is when people listen and then validate your feelings, which this is what the book is saying. And I'm like, wow, this makes so much sense. So if I want to kind of rant or just get my feelings out, that already eliminates the stress that I have tenfold, because once you get that out, my brain has word vomited. It's out of my mind. I don't necessarily have to think about it so much anymore. That shared space in my brain is freed up more, and then it's easier to make clear decisions or to find another path or which way to go. And I think a lot of the time men feel like when women are speaking of their opinion and what's on their mind, it's almost like they're looking for oh, well, you don't have to worry about that so much, or you shouldn't need to think about this, or why don't you just do this? Like, in a similar way that women bring it to men, I think men want to bring solutions to women, but most of the time we don't need anything like that, because we kind of know almost all the time what needs to be done and how to achieve it. We just want to be validated that our feelings and our opinions are heard, and it's okay and in a safe space to share them. So it's been an interesting book so far, and I only read a few pages at night because I do get quite tired when I am reading, but I recommend it if you are interested in learning more about men and women and their differences. And I think this book was written a long time ago, but I do think it still applies today. And I think that it really touches on the fact that not only biologically men and women are different, but emotionally and spiritually, and how we approach our life in terms of communication is so different. And we kind of have to celebrate that in a way and also honor it, to know that, it can be frustrating in any type of relationship, friendship, whatever it is with the opposite sex. Like, you are going to maybe at times not understand why your partner, for example, like can't just do what you would do. But it is because we are wired a bit differently, and men are not used to the way that, women do things, and vice versa. So it's been a cool read. I do recommend it. I'm not fully through it, so I can probably give a better opinion once I'm done. But what I will say is the small active changes that I am making, like I said before, I think are improving my relationship with the opposite sex. I do see a difference. And then it also allows me to not think so much in terms of doing everything, because I feel like women naturally bear a lot of responsibility, but also, like, if it can be done by somebody else, if somebody else can handle it, and it's something else to remove from my brain and that timeshare, then great, because then I have so many other things I can focus on. So that's been cool, and something that, I'm glad that I'm learning about, because yeah, we are different, and sometimes it's so frustrating and we don't know why, or we just don't know why the advice that I give to my girlfriends, like, why doesn't it land the same with men, and I think it just, again, has to do with the fact that men don't really talk to each other in that way necessarily, unless they specifically ask for help. They want to know that, like, they can do it themselves, and that their efforts are encouraged and wanted and needed. And for women, we want to be heard and validated for all of our feelings, whether they are rational or not. Most of the time, I just need a listening ear, and that goes the longest way. Guys, thanks for sitting with my chit chat word vomit episode. As always, I appreciate it, and I like these talks because, again, there's a lot in my mind, so it's nice to just talk about, different topics here and there to get it out of there. And yeah, you guys feel like I just like sit with you at a coffee shop and we chit chat, or we're catching up over drinks. Like, I love the vibes. I love being myself with you guys, and I hope that you feel the authenticity, of course. And yeah, I always love chit chatting with you. So thanks for that. I hope that your week is filled with endless opportunities of joy and love and light. Of course, I'm sending all of that incredible energy to you, so I hope that you feel it. I'm really excited to update you guys on my weekend. I cannot wait to see my family, so I know I will have a recap about that for you guys. And then my next week coming up here is busy, but also going to be so good and full of fitness and friends, and I can't wait for it. So I'm so excited to update you guys on that. Anyway, with that being said, I will let you go, but have a fantastic week. Okay, love you. Bye.